my name's Alex, and my reputation speech is on the claim that recent Disney programming is perpetuating cultural stereotypes. So, her secondary claim was that the new Disney programs perpetuates racial stereotypes and they stereotype girls. And lastly, that the Disney programs have an impact on the way that children view them. It kind of sounds to me more like a value claim because she states that it's only the new Disney that does these things, not the old Disney. So her claim, her examples were like the show Jessie and Good Luck Charlie that make like racial stereotypes. But instead of viewing them as a negative way, I looked at it as like a more positive way because in the show Jessie, it's a more diverse family. There's two white kids. It's Emma and Lou, Robbie, a young Indian boy, and Zuri, which is the young African American girl. And basically she was saying that Robbie, the Indian boy, has a heavy accent. He refers to a lot of like Indian culture things like curry, ganaches, and other examples. Zuri is like the typical little young girl that gives attitude and things like that. But I was reading an article. There's an article written by Barbara J. Wilson. It was published at the Princeton University Journal and stated that television creates an acceptance of others that when shown upon such kids that had a racially diverse group created more positive attitude towards more people of different groups in real life. So it's not really a negative thing if they view these families accepting each other, and because the two kids were adopted, it shouldn't create a problem in real life. It should create more peaceful environment. And she also stated that in Good Luck Charlie, all the kids in the family were either rude, going out partying, or that the oldest brother was going to chicken college. But really, it's all for entertainment. I don't see anything. There's not really anything wrong with that because the big picture and the theme of the show is that they all get together and they help each other raise this young, unexpected newborn, which really helps kids relate. Those that like the outside from their newborn and newborn coming in the family, and it makes it. And it helps them see that they should help out in the family, so it's more of a unity. And her other claim was that New Disney stereotypes girls, but in those two shows that she mentioned. But really, that can be said by any other shows too. She points out that Emma in the show Jessie is a typical dumb blonde, the character, but. And in other shows in the old Disney, like I said, like even Stevens, they had an older brother, which was your typical dumb jock, which was one example. Another example would be the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, which they had Lyndon Tipton. She was the typical rich girl, and Chelsea, and Not So Raven, she was also characterized as pretty dumb. So I'll say, so her saying that only the new Disney channels create that sort of stereotype is wrong because I see it as it's stereotype, but it's more of a gimmick to just entertain people, really. She's also stated that girls are no longer larger size in the shows. But that really contradicts her third statement that children learn from what they see on television. So wouldn't it be better if actresses were of a healthy weight, not of a larger weight? And she also states that she should probably state that there should be more variety in shape of women's sizes, not just focus on one size either. Because there's also an example on her show, Good Luck Charlie. The oldest sister, Teddy, has a best friend which is larger size. So it's not, all sizes aren't liberated either. And it's not fair to say that they should pick like one actress based on their size. They're gonna pick the actress based on their talent, not how they look so much. And her last claim was that Disney has an impact on the way that viewers think. Well, everyone does agree that like children under too young is too young to view television. But for those of older kids, there was a study at the University of London challenge that saying that kids shouldn't watch any TV. And basically over the 3 years, they tested these kids that watched 3 hours or more, and those that watched less than 1 hour a day. And the results were that the children that watched 3 hours or more of television a day showed better cognitive abilities than the peers that only watched 1 hour a day, which shows that television isn't all bad. It really depends on like education and what shows you're letting them watch. So yeah.
Thank you. Alex, if I was looking at this as an essay, I'd say everything is really good on this because you follow the organizational structure, you did some interesting analysis, you found a couple of twists to put on the arguments that the advocate was presenting, you used some examples from their own material that used to kind of reverse the conclusions that are being presented. So I think there's a lot of stuff in it, in the speech, that works really well. The presentation is a little bit problematic. That's where I think it's you're missing out. And I know everybody is not assertive and outgoing and gregarious, and you seem like you're more kind of a quiet person, but I think you need to be a little bit more forceful in expressing yourself. You start off with your arms crossed. You never seem like you are sure how you're going to stand. And I'm listening to your argument going, you've got a very clear set of arguments on these claims. You've got, I think, in many cases, better evidence and some interesting application of evidence to the argument than was being presented by the other side. So you shouldn't be shy and reticent at all. You ought to be pretty darn assertive and speaking forward and say, look, the example that she used doesn't even fit in this particular situation. In fact, here's the best friend here who is a larger size. So when they say they don't have those people, you know that, and I like the contrary argument that you present there too. But so, like I said, I think most of the issue stuff you're doing pretty well on. The presentation stuff, you need to be a little bit, your ethos is not helping. So you've got some pretty good logos going on there, but your ethos, you need to work on the presentation issues. Like I said, I thought you followed the structure very clearly. You had some good evidence. You had general evidence about the impact of watching television in general. I like the first piece of information that said that if they are seeing this kind of mixed family situation, it increases acceptance, and the stereotype thing seems to be a little bit less important than the very fact that we have a mixed family to begin with, and I like that idea. I did think that it was kind of an interesting one. I don't know that I'm convinced by your argument, but I like the press that says, well, look, isn't it a better idea if kids are influenced by what they watch, that they don't see a bunch of overweight people on television thinking that that's the way that they ought to live or be. Maybe we ought to set standards for them. Yeah, I think that's a creative idea. I'm not sure that it's one that you could support, but I think it's a good challenge. And if we were having a debate, for instance, it would force the other side to get on their toes and think about, well, how am I going to answer that one? Because that's an interesting point. I think there are good answers to it, but it forces people to kind of reconsider the positions that they have. All right, thank you.